Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. You're probably here because you're looking for the absolute best ways to learn English.
Right? I'd say that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, whether it's for work travel or just, that awesome feeling of being able to communicate in another language.
Right.
We're going to unpack some really powerful techniques today. So the guide we're diving into today, it's all about mastering English.
Mm-hmm.
And it breaks things down in a really cool way
I think so too.
into what it calls peak points
Yep.
and magical points. It's almost like, okay, here are the essential skills you got to focus on, and then here's how to make learning them fun and easy.
That's a really good way to put it. And actually, I think that's one of the things that makes this guide so effective.
Yeah,
It's not just about the what, it's about the how.
exactly. So let's start with those peak points.
Okay.
They lay out 6 of them.
They do.
Vocabulary building,
Of course.
grammar, mastery, listening skills, speaking, fluency, reading comprehension, and
Yeah.
writing skills.
It's like the foundation.
It is. It's like the whole package, right?
Absolutely.
So, okay, let's break it down. Let's start with vocabulary building.
Right.
This guide mentions focusing on high-frequency words and phrases.
Which makes sense. Right?
Yeah, totally. Like, learn the words you're actually going to use the most.
Exactly. Think about it. That's how we learn our first language as kids.
Yeah.
We pick up the words we hear most often.
Right. Okay, but then it goes into this idea of collocations.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of this?
Oh, absolutely. Collocations are so important for sounding natural in English.
Yeah, so explain what they are for folks who might not be familiar.
So basically, collocations are these groups of words that just naturally go together in English.
Yeah.
You know, like make a decision, not take a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Or heavy rain, not strong rain.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you might understand the individual words, but using them correctly in these chunks,
Yeah.
it's what makes you sound like a native speaker.
Like you've cracked the code.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that. And did you notice how the guide recommends using things like flashcards in apps like Anki or Quizlet?
Oh, those are classics.
Right. But they work.
They do. Especially those spaced repetition systems.
Spaced repetition.
Yeah, it's based on how our brains actually remember things.
Ah.
So you review words right before you're about to forget them, and that helps them stick long term.
It's like you're outsmarting your own brain.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about working with your memory, not against it.
Love it. Okay, so we've got vocabulary down. Now let's tackle the big one.
Oh.
Grammar mastery.
I know this can be a bit intimidating for some people.
I think it's intimidating for a lot of people.
You're probably right.
But this guide does a good job of breaking it down.
It does.
It emphasizes understanding those core grammar rules first.
Fundamentals.
Yeah, things like tenses, sentence structure.
Right.
It's like the scaffolding of your English.
I like that
You
analogy.
build that strong base, and then you can get fancy later.
Exactly. Once you have that solid foundation, you can build more complex sentences. Express yourself more accurately.
And you know what else I liked? The guide recommends actually using those grammar rules, not just memorizing them.
Yes. Practice, practice, practice.
Exactly, like doing exercises, online quizzes.
Right.
For me, I have to actually use the rules to really get them.
Absolutely. I think that's true for a lot of learners.
And you know what? That leads perfectly into our next peak point,
Which is?
listening skills.
Makes sense.
The more you hear English, the better your ear becomes.
Right. At recognizing those patterns.
Yeah, like those grammar patterns we were just talking about.
Exactly. And understanding how native speakers actually use the language.
It's like you're training your brain to decode English.
That's a great way to think about it. You're becoming a code breaker.
Ooh, I like that. And you know what else the guide mentioned? Getting used to different accents.
Oh, yes.
British, American, Australian.
Flavors of English.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to get comfortable with one accent.
It is.
And then bam, you hear someone from a different region.
And it's like a whole new language almost.
Right. But the more you listen to diverse accents,
Yeah,
the better you'll understand anyone.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like developing a superpower for English comprehension.
I love that. Okay, so we've got vocabulary, grammar, listening.
What's next?
Now it's time for speaking fluency.
The one everyone wants to master.
Right. I think this is where a lot of people get stuck.
I think you're right. It can be the most intimidating part.
It is. But guess what? The key is practice.
No surprise there.
I know it sounds obvious,
It does.
but it's true.
It is. And so many people are afraid to actually speak because they're worried about making mistakes.
I totally get that. But you know what this guide suggests? That's that. Even talking to yourself can help.
I know it sounds silly,
It does.
but it really works. Think
Yeah.
about it. It gets you comfortable forming sentences.
Mm-hmm.
experimenting with different words and grammar.
And no one's there to judge you.
Exactly. It's like
Dang.
having your own personal English coach in your head.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
And if you want to take it a step further, you can look into language exchange programs
Oh, yeah, those are great.
or online platforms like italki or Tandem.
Yeah, to connect with native speakers for conversation practice.
It's a chance to actually use what you're learning.
In a real-life setting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of those active skills, you know?
Speaking, listening.
Yeah. But what about reading and writing?
Those are essential too.
They are. And the guide points out how they can actually boost those other skills we were talking about.
It's all connected.
Right. So with reading comprehension, for example, you're exposed to so much vocabulary and grammar in context.
You're absorbing it naturally.
Yeah, it's like you're learning by osmosis, almost.
I like that. And you're doing something enjoyable at the same time.
Exactly, like reading a good book or an interesting article.
Right.
And you know what I bet? Seeing how words are used in real writing, I bet it helps you learn those collocations we were talking about earlier.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Seeing those natural word combinations in action.
Exactly. Okay, and then there's writing skills.
The other side of the coin.
Right. And the guide really stresses clear and effective communication.
Because at the end of the day, that's what language is for, right?
It is, to connect with other people.
Exactly. So it suggests starting with simpler writing tasks,
Okay.
like journaling or writing emails.
The word pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then gradually working your way up to more complex things.
Like essays or reports.
Right.
And I bet that consistent writing practice,
Yeah,
it probably helps to solidify your grammar knowledge.
it does.
And it probably helps expand your vocabulary, too.
Absolutely. It's like a
Um,
positive feedback loop.
I love that. So those are 6 peak points.
The essential skills.
Yeah, they're like the landmarks on your journey to English fluency.
I like that. But you know what's really cool about this guide?
That's it.
It doesn't just stop there.
It doesn't.
Nope. It goes on to explore these magical
Oh, the
points.
pivotal points. Okay, I'm intrigued.
They're all about making the learning process not just effective, but also enjoyable and sustainable.
So it's not just about hard work. It's about making it fun.
Exactly. Because anyone can tell you to study vocabulary or practice grammar.
True.
But this guide gives you concrete strategies and techniques
Ah.
to actually make those things happen in a way that feels almost effortless.
Okay, now you've got me really curious.
I thought you might be. Are you ready to unlock those magical points?
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait.
Let's sprinkle a little magic on this English journey then.
Let's do it.
So the first magical point is all about immersion.
Okay.
Imagine surrounding yourself with English. Like literally changing your phone settings,
Oh.
your computer settings to English, seeking out English language media. You know, even just labeling things around your house with English words.
Since like you're constantly bumping into the language.
Exactly. You're creating your own little English-speaking bubble.
I've heard of people doing things like that, but I always thought it was a bit much, you know?
I know what you mean.
Like a bit extreme.
Yeah. But the guide makes a good point about how those little things, those small changes, they can really add up over time.
It's like you're slowly rewiring your brain.
You are. And it's not just about the external stuff either.
Oh.
The guide also talks about trying to think in English
Oh.
instead of translating everything in your head.
That sounds tough.
It can be challenging at first, but once you get the hang of it,
Yeah,
it really unlocks a whole new level of fluency.
because you're not stuck in that translation loop.
Exactly. You're thinking and responding directly in English.
So it becomes more natural, more automatic.
Right. And speaking of things that can feel natural and almost effortless,
Ooh, tell me more.
magical point number 2 is all about using technology and apps.
Okay, I was hoping we'd get to this.
I know, right? There are so many out there these days.
There are, but it's hard to know where to start.
It can be overwhelming.
Hmm.
But the guide specifically mentions a few that are really popular and effective.
Oh yeah, like what?
Duolingo, Babbel, Memrise.
Oh yeah, I've heard of those.
They've done a great job of gamifying language learning.
Gamifying.
Yeah, making
Yeah.
it fun.
Uh.
Making it feel less like work and more like a game.
That's smart.
Right. Because when you're having fun, you're more likely to stick with it.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm sold on that one. What's next?
Magical point number 3 is all about learning through stories and songs.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. Tapping into the power of narrative in music.
Music is huge for me. I feel like I can remember song lyrics way easier than I can remember lists of words.
I think that's true for a lot of people. There's something about music and stories
Mm-hmm.
that just helps us remember things.
They stick in your brain.
They do. They
Yeah.
tap into different parts of our brains.
Interesting.
We're wired to remember narratives and melodies.
So it's like you're hacking your brain to learn English.
Kinda,
Yeah.
yeah. You're making it enjoyable for your brain.
I love it. Okay, so
Mm.
we're learning through stories, we're learning through music,
Having fun.
having fun. And magical point number 4 takes that fun factor even further.
It does. This one is all about gamifying your learning.
Okay, so more games. I'm in.
More games. But this time it's about getting creative. Like finding ways to turn any aspect of language learning into a game.
Give me some examples.
Sure, think word games like Scrabble or Boggle,
Classics.
right? Or you could do online quizzes,
Mm-hmm.
even set up little language challenges with friends.
Oh, that's fun.
It's about bringing that element of play and competition into your learning.
Keeps you motivated.
Exactly. And when you're motivated, you're more likely to make progress.
All right, I'm loving these magical points so far. What else do we have?
Magical point number 5 is a big one.
Okay.
It's about practicing with native speakers.
Yeah, I knew this one was coming.
It's essential, right? But I know it can be intimidating for some people.
It can be terrifying for some people.
For sure.
Okay.
Especially if you're not used to speaking English in real-life situations.
Right, like what if you freeze up?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the guide has some good advice for easing into it.
Oh, like what?
Instead of jumping straight into face-to-face conversations,
Mm.
it suggests starting with online communities or forums
Oh, that's a good idea.
where you can practice writing and reading in English.
Lower pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can build up your confidence before you start speaking.
And then once you're ready to actually talk,
Mm-hmm.
there are tons of resources out there.
There are, like language exchange partners,
Yeah.
online tutoring platforms.
Yeah, even just striking up conversations with English speakers,
Absolutely, casual conversations can be so beneficial.
It's about getting used to the natural flow of the language.
Yeah, picking up on those nuances, those
The
idioms.
stuff you don't learn from textbooks.
Exactly. And it's a chance to connect with people from different cultures.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a win-win.
It is. Okay, so we've covered immersion technology stories and songs, gamification practice with native speakers.
Wow, we're on a roll.
We are.
Hmm.
What's magical point number 6?
This one's about setting clear goals
Okay.
and tracking your progress.
Yeah, that's important.
It is. It might not sound as magical as some of the other points,
Right.
but it's crucial for staying motivated and on track.
Because if you don't know where you're going,
Mm-hmm.
you're never going to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the guide recommends setting specific measurable goals,
Like, give me an example.
like learning a certain number of new words each week,
Okay.
or completing a certain number of lessons in a language app.
I see.
And it's not just about setting the goals, it's about tracking your progress,
Right.
celebrating those small wins along the way.
So it's like you're giving yourself little rewards.
Exactly. It could be something as simple as marking off the days you practiced on a calendar,
Mm-hmm.
or keeping a journal of your language learning journey.
Oh, I like that. A language learning journal.
Yeah, it's a great way to reflect on your progress, see how far you've come.
And identify areas where you might need to focus more.
Absolutely. It's about staying engaged and motivated.
Because let's be honest,
Mm-hmm.
learning a language takes time.
It does. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Truth. And that brings us to our final magical point.
Number 7,
Consistency and patience.
the dynamic duo.
They really are. I think so many people give up on language learning
Yeah.
because they expect to see results overnight.
It's easy to get discouraged when you don't sound like a native speaker after a few weeks or even months.
Yeah, you think, why am I even bothering?
Exactly. But this guide reminds us that language learning is a gradual process.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time and dedication to see real improvement.
So don't beat yourself up if you're not fluent after a month.
Exactly. Be patient with yourself,
Find a study routine that works for you.
even if it's just 15 minutes a day.
Right. Small, consistent efforts make a big difference over time.
They do. It's about building those habits and sticking with them.
And being kind to yourself along the way.
Always be kind to yourself.
Okay, so we've covered the 7 magical points immersion technology stories and songs gamification practice with native speakers goal setting and consistency.
Phew. That's a lot.
It is, but it's a really holistic approach to language learning.
I think so too. It's not just about the nuts and bolts of the language.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the mindset, the habits,
Mm-hmm.
the overall approach.
It's about making it a part of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And enjoying the journey.
So true. But wait, there's more?
Oh, there's always more.
The guide also gives us 3 bonus tips.
For what it calls peak
The
performance.
bonus tips. I'm all ears.
I thought you might be, these like the secret weapons for taking your English to the next level.
Okay, I'm ready. Blame on me. Okay, so what's bonus tip number 1?
This one is called the shadowing technique.
Shadowing.
Yeah. Basically, you listen to a recording of a native English speaker,
Okay.
and you try to repeat what they're saying at the same time,
Oh, wow.
matching their pronunciation, their intonation, even their rhythm.
So it's like you're their shadow trying to blend your voice with theirs.
Exactly. It's a really powerful way to improve your pronunciation.
I can see that because you're really paying attention to the details.
You are. You're training your mouth muscles to produce those English sounds more naturally.
That's cool. It sounds intense, though.
It can be a little awkward at first,
Mm-hmm.
but trust me, it gets easier with practice.
Okay. I'm adding that to my list of things to try. What's the next bonus tip?
This one's for the visual learners out there.
Hit me.
It's called mind mapping.
Mind mapping. Oh, I've actually used mind maps before.
Really?
Yeah, but for brainstorming and organizing information.
Oh, that's great.
It's amazing how a visual representation can just make things click in your brain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can totally apply that same principle to language learning.
How so?
For example, you could create a mind map around a specific topic,
Okay.
like travel or food,
I like it.
and then branch out from there to include related vocabulary phrases, even grammar concepts.
So you're seeing all those connections between different parts of the language.
Exactly. It's a way to create a more holistic understanding.
It's definitely more engaging than just looking at lists of words.
Right. It
Yeah.
brings the language to life.
Okay, I'm liking this one too.
Yeah.
And last but not least, bonus tip number 3.
This one might surprise you. It's about teaching others.
With teaching. But what if I don't feel like I'm an expert yet?
That's the beauty of it. You don't have to be an expert to teach someone something. Even explaining a simple grammar concept to a friend or family member,
Yeah.
it forces you to think about it more deeply,
Right.
to articulate it clearly.
It's like you have to really understand something in order to teach it.
Exactly. It's one of the best ways to solidify your own knowledge.
And it can be a really rewarding experience too.
All for sure. It's a win-win.
Okay, so we've covered the peak points, the magical points, and these 3 bonus tips. That's a lot.
It is. But it's all incredibly valuable stuff.
It is. This guide really is like a roadmap to English fluency.
I think so too.
Huh.
And what I appreciate most about it is the focus on making learning enjoyable.
Right. It's not just about brute force memorization.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to integrate English into your life in a way that feels natural and fun.
So our takeaway for our listener today, don't get overwhelmed by all the options out there.
Right. Pick and choose what works for you,
Exactly. Find what you enjoy and just start doing it.
even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
Absolutely. Those small, consistent efforts will add up over time.
They will. And remember to be patient with yourself.
Yeah, language learning is a journey.
It is.
Yeah,
It has its ups and downs.
but it's a journey worth taking.
I couldn't agree more.
So to our amazing listener out there, we hope this deep dive has given you the tools and inspiration to unlock your English fluency. And remember, it's not about perfection.
Right.
It's about progress.
It's about connection.
Exactly. It's about opening yourself up to a whole new world of communication and experiences. So keep practicing, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep having fun with it.
And who knows, maybe someday you'll be sharing your own language learning tips with the world.
That's the dream. Until next time, happy learning.